Welcome back. We have Lori Horton in the studio with us today. She's going to teach us how to make Oreo Lovers cookies. Good morning to you, Lori.
It is Monday.
Yes, it is.
Luckily, this is a really simple recipe today, but we've got a couple of kind of prep things that we have to do before we really get started putting it together. So we're going to start out with just simple Oreo cookies, chocolate sandwich cookies if you like, but go for the Oreos.
Absolutely, yes.
What we want to actually do, this is a little bit of a tip. When you have a recipe that calls for crushed Oreos,
Right.
we're actually going to separate the filling.
Okay. The best part.
The best part. We're going to use it. Don't worry.
Okay, good. Okay.
But when you put that in your bag and you put it this
Right.
up all the pieces, it kind of just turns into a gummy mess.
Yeah.
So by separating the filling, we get a good crush of the chocolate cookie pieces, and we're actually going to add that filling to our wet dough and get a little more of that really good flavor of it.
Fantastic.
So it really highlights it and it adds more flavor, believe it or not, and works out really well. So we're just going to separate all of that. We're going to get those 10 to 11, 12 if you like, make it an even dozen, 10
Might
is
as
good,
well.
11 is better.
Absolutely.
And take those leftover pieces.
Okay.
And we're going to put them in a sandwich bag, and we are then just going to crunch those up into nice small pieces, because when we get done, we're going to put them in our cookie dough. So we don't want real big chunky pieces. This is where you get to sort of act out your Monday morning aggressions. Get rid of all of that. You can be nice and you can crush these on a flat surface. You can take your rolling pin and really get after that. But we just want to make them really nice small pieces, and that works out well. Use a freezer bag, a little bit thicker bag, so that you don't just tear it up. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start with our cookies and cream candy bar.
Ooh, those are so good.
And this is pretty much the best one that I could find. It's a big size bar. You can use as much or as little of that as you want. And you're going to take that bar and just chop it up into nice fine pieces as well. So you want a pretty good size, nice substantial knife for that. And we want to crunch this up into, move this over out of all my stuff, but just some nice fine pieces. Because again, we're going to put this into our cookie dough. You don't want to bite into that and have a really giant piece of it, but you also don't want that chocolate melting into a big piece when you go to bake these.
Absolutely.
So we're going to get all of that prep stuff done, and then when we come back, we're actually going to make our cookie dough, which again, super simple.
Yes.
You just need to get all of these things ready first.
Got to do your prep work.
All that prep work, and then we're going to pop everything together and have a really yummy, soft, cakey type cookie with a really tasty vanilla frosting on top. We'll add a little bit of extra crushed cookie pieces. Again, Oreo lover's dream.
You can't go wrong. All right, thanks, Lori. Stick around, we'll be right back. Well, welcome back. Lori has been sharing her recipe for Oreo Lovers cookies, and now we've chopped up our cookies. We've, chopped up our cookies and cream chocolate bar. And what are the next steps?
So now we're just going to put all these ingredients together. So simple. We've started with just a regular size box cake mix, and this can be just a traditional white, vanilla, French vanilla.
Can you even do chocolate if you
You could
wanted?
totally do chocolate. Go all
Yeah.
in on that. We're going to add to that a couple of large eggs. Again, when we bake, always large eggs unless our recipe specifies something different, and a half a cup of oil, and that's the only other ingredients we are adding.
Okay.
But
Super
if
easy.
you'll remember from earlier in the morning, I said we were not going to waste that filling of those Oreo cookies, so we're going to add that in there as well. And that's going to give us a little bit of that really good creamy filling flavor. And you're going to mix all of this together a little bit first, because we don't want to just grind that Oreo chocolate into it. We want to get this nice and mixed and then just kind of fold in those pieces.
Absolutely.
This is going to make a nice soft dough. You don't need to get the mixer out for this part. It's very easily put together by hand. So just a simple spatula. Make sure you get all of those things blended well, but also make sure you kind of break up that cookie filling in there.
Yes.
So we want to kind of smooth it into the batter also.
And that filling isn't going to change the way that it bakes or anything. It just goes right in there.
Just goes right in and gives us that really yummy center flavor, because we all know that's the best part of the Oreo. I mean, the chocolate's good, but let's be realistic. So we get a nice, just sticky dough, very easy to work with.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go ahead and dump those cookie pieces in. And then I'm going to scrape those candy bar pieces in as well. All of that. And I use the whole king size cookies and cream candy bar.
Okay.
You don't have to put that much in there if you don't want.
Why would you not?
But why would you not? Some people have a thing about white chocolate. I don't understand it, but this is a very flexible recipe.
Yeah.
You can really tweak it to your taste. So I'm going to blend all that in. You're going to get a nice, again, it's just a good dough that's easy to scoop. It's not super dense or heavy.
It's coming together really nicely.
It really does. It's so quick and so easy. Now, I used a smaller size scoop. You can use whatever size you want. Because again, this is kind of a sweet cookie.
Yeah.
So, a small one's probably plenty. But I used a little bit smaller one there, kind of that mid-size. I can get 8 on a sheet easily. This is our typical cookie. We want to bake this on our parchment paper. Which way am I going? There we go. So you can see it move in my bowl. It's a nice soft dough.
And it doesn't spread too much.
It really doesn't. What we want to do is put that little scoop on the paper and then kind of make sure you get all your little edges tucked in and give it just a little pat to flatten it down. And you'll see from here to here, that doesn't spread out a tremendous amount. So, and it's going to come out nice and flat after it sets and cools. We're going to bake these at 325. I baked them last night for about exactly 8.5 minutes. So 8 to 9 minutes, again, a little bit more if you use a bigger scoop, a little bit less if you use the smaller one. Play it by ear, but you just want them to look set in the middle. Get rid of that shine. After they're cooled, when we come back, we're going to make some frosting for the top.
All right, sounds great. Stick around. Welcome back. We're putting the final touches on these delicious looking Oreo Lovers cookies. What's the final steps?
Final step is frosting for the top of we're going to keep it really simple and just start with a can of pre-made frosting.
Okay, yeah.
And of course you can make your buttercream from scratch. Whatever you like that way is perfectly fine. We want to just keep it a nice light frosting. So that's part of the reason we're using a store-bought one. It's typically a little bit softer, a little fluffier. But we still want to take that out of the can and whip it just a little bit, make a little noise, but just to cream it a little. And I actually added just a little splash of heavy whipping cream as well. And that's going to make it a little richer, give it a little better flavor, and believe it or not, stiffen it up a little bit. Seems counterintuitive because you think you're adding liquid, it's going to make it softer. But heavy whipping cream, if you whip it for a few extra minutes, will actually give it a nice stiffer texture.
Lovely.
So it's really nice and creamy, nice and soft. You can add a little bit of your own flavoring to that as well if you want to throw a little vanilla in there or almond, just whatever you like. Pardon my reach. Now, we're not going to get super fancy, but we want to put a generous amount of that frosting on each cookie because you've got to just go big or go home.
Oh,
you could
absolutely.
actually make these into sandwich cookies if you wanted to. Put this on the bottom side and slap a couple of these together would be really good too. And then if you really want to go all in and get as much Oreo on there as you want, I've crushed up just a few more of just the chocolate pieces, again, not the center, and we can add a few of these little pieces on top just to make it look really cute. So again, it's a simple one, but yet you can kind of tweak it a little bit and you can add some extras to it to make it a little more from scratch, a little more homemade, and some extra flavors.
But it's a great base to start with.
It's a great base to start with. And you could really go all vanilla and add wafer cookies to it and just a white chocolate bar if you want to go all chocolate. And as you mentioned, try a chocolate cake mix to start and do, just a Hershey bar in there instead of the white cookies and cream. You've got a lot of options, and that's the fun part with some of these simpler recipes. The sample is the best part.
I'm like, I can't even help myself.
Make sure when you bring these out though that you do let the cookies completely cool before you start to ice them. Again, that's just going to melt your frosting, and it's nice and soft to start with. So that would be a little bit of a problem.
It's perfect.
It's such a good combination. You do also want to store these in the fridge. They will keep really good for several days, but if you don't frost them, they freeze really well.
Oh, fantastic. So you can make a big batch and then.
Exactly. It doesn't make a lot. So this will make about 2 dozen of these mid-sized cookies. If you use the bigger scoop, you're probably only going to get about a dozen out of it. So
like you said, they're perfect, and they're super sweet, like perfectly sweet, so where you don't need a big cookie.
Absolutely. We are coming up on 4th of July parties, family reunions, all of these things that we're going to be doing all summer long. So these are kind of a great go-to. You could do up the cookie, throw them in the freezer, bring them out when you're ready for your event, put the frosting on there, top them, and you're good to go.
Wonderful. Well, once again, Lori, thank you so much. Stick around. We'll be right back.